So now you guys know about how to create arrays, how to work with arrays and do some basic operations with array. But what if I say that you have to create a multi-dimensional array or 2D array? In this case, you basically don't know what is two-dimensional array. So over here I have my code blocks. So don't worry, this is not a Python program. This is basically a C program. And if you don't know C language, then don't worry, I will tell you how this program works. Okay. So we have to first include a file in C when we code something. So it's like a syntax, which is not in Python. Okay. So that's why I love Python. You don't have to write anything like this. But in C it's mandatory, you have to write this before you run or write your code. Okay, so over here it's my main function, main file, main program. So now inside this I have to create one array. So to create an array we have to first define the data type of array. So in our case we are going to create an integer type array. So we'll just say that int array, and then inside it we have to define the size of array. So that depends on you. Over here I will take 3. Okay, so now 3 equals to and then our array. So for array we have to make like 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, so that is how you're going to create your array. And now if you want to print this elements of array, what you can do is you can just say for, and inside for you can just take one integer I and then I less than 3 and then I plus plus. So I hope that you know how this for loop works, but if you don't know, then let me just tell you how it works. Before that, over here I have an integer called as I. So we have to declare this integer before calling this integer. So over here I have my integer I. If you are not able to understand this program, then it's totally fine. Just focus on what I'm doing over here. You know what is for loop? So here I have for loop. Inside this for loop I have one variable called as I. The I value is initialized with 0, and then there is one condition over here, that is I less than 3, and then there is an increment over here. So inside this for loop I'm going to simply print all the elements of this array. How I'm going to do this? I will be simply saying that %d and then array, and then over here I will be saying I. So that is how I'm going to print all the elements of this array. And let me just put some space over here, or I can say some tab over here. Okay, so now if I try to run this code, you can see that I'm getting 1, 2 and 3 that are my elements of this array. Okay, so one more thing over here, it's not mandatory to name this array like this. You can name anything. You can just say ARR, or you can just say Mayank over here. Okay, so you just have to name. So naam mein kya rakha hai? Over here also you have to change the name from array to Mayank. And now if I try to run this code, you can see I'm getting again the same output, that is 1, 2 and 3. So that's the best part of C programming, that is how you are going to perform the array. You can just create an array, and in Python it's very simple. What you have to do is you just have to say from array import, and then you have to just say star. And what this star represents? The star represents to everything. Okay, so now you can just create an array by saying ARR equal to array. You can name anything to array over here. You can say Mayank over here as well. So Mayank ARR, Mayank array, and inside this array you have to say that it's of type integer and contains the elements, that is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now if I try to run this code, but before trying to run I have to print the value of Mayank. So over here if I try to run this code now, you can see I'm getting array of type integer and the values are 1, 2 and 3. So that is how I'm going to create an array in Python. But now we are going to see about two-dimensional array. So how to create a two-dimensional array in C programming? So let's see that first. So you simply have to just add one more block over here, and inside this block you have to give the number, or I can say size, according to your wish. So I can say that it's 8. So what this 8 represents? It represents that you have 3 arrays containing 8 elements maximum. Okay, so you can create 3 arrays that can contain maximum 8 elements. So here it's my first array, so I can add some, let me just create it properly so that you can understand. Okay, so here I have 3 arrays of size 8. Okay, maximum size 8. So what I can do is I can just create one array over here, and this array is containing 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so now one more array over here, and I have to just erase this thing. Okay, perfect. So now let me just create one more array. So in this array I will be adding elements as 4 5 6, so 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, so I have 2 here and I have to add one more, so I will be just using this. And now I can just write any numbers, so it's 12 13 14 7 16. Okay, so perfect. So now my array is complete, and now if I try to print this array, so what I can do is I can simply use something called as I and j concept. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more variable over here, that is j. Okay, so why I took j over here, because you can see clearly over here I have 3 and 8. So let me just take one simple array so that you can understand. Over here I am going to take 3 only. So now I have elements as 3, and then we have 4 5 6. So I will take 4 comma 5 comma 6, and it's just for the sake of simplicity. You can take this big array as well, you can perform it by your own. Okay, it's not that difficult. So over here I have a simple array that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. From this array you can see that if I want to access any element, let's say 2, so the location of 2 is 0, the location of 1 will be 0 comma 0, as it's over here, and in this column you can see that it's on the first side, so it's 0 comma 0, as we initialize the array with 0 and 0. Okay, and then we have 1 comma 1. Okay, and so 2 is over, 2 is on 1 comma 1. So let me just print over here before printing this while for loop. So I'll be just erasing this for loop for now, and if I try to print the value of %d comma, okay, so the name of array is Mayank, so I'll be just putting Mayank over here, and then inside this I'll be printing the value of 1 comma 1. So the value of 1 comma 1 will be 2, and now if I try to run this code, you can see over here I'm getting the output as 5. Why is this case? Because over here you can see that the row is not the first row, it's the 0th row. Okay, and the column is the first column. Okay, so it's 0th row and first column. So if I want to print the value of 2, I have to just remove this part from 1 to 0, and now you can see that if I try to run this code, you can see that I'm getting 2. Okay, so that is how you can work with a two-dimensional array, and you can also press some random values, let's say 3, and over here I have 3. So in this case I will be getting the output as this. Okay, so why is this case? Because I have nothing like 3 comma 3. You can see clearly from this array that we have elements from 0 to 1 and 2. So we have 0 1 and 2. Similarly with the rows we have 0 1 and 2. So we don't have any row containing, we don't have any elements on 3 comma 3, so we are getting a random value. So if you want to print this 9, you can just say 2 comma 2. So now if I try to run this code, you can see over here I'm getting the output as 9. Okay, so that is how you can work with this two-dimensional array. But now what if you want to print all the elements in a order like this, in an order of matrix? You can just use a for loop, and the first for loop will be representing this outer 3, and the inner for loop will be representing this inner 3. Okay, so it's like we can just say that this outer 3, this outer array, this outer part is known as I, and this inner part is known as j. Okay, so for over here I can say that I equals to 0, and then I will be just assigning this condition, and then I will be incrementing the value of I. Okay, so inside this for loop I'm going to add one more for loop, and this for loop will be contain the value of j equal to 0, and then j less than 3, and j plus plus. Okay, so we have just initialized two for loops, and now inside this for loop I'm going to print some values. So this over here I will be saying that %d comma, no commas, I will just put some space, and this %d is actually going to represent the value of array at that particular position. So what will be my I and j? So you can see when the for loop is going to work, the I value will be 0 and the j value will be 0. In this case 1 is going to print as both values are 0. Okay, and when inside this for loop, in the inner for loop, you know that if there are two for loops, then inner for loop will work for the for 3 times, and then outer for loop is going to work. So it's like when the I value is 0, the j value will be 0, then value will be 1, and then value will be 2. And after that, when j value will be 3, this for loop is not going to work, and you are going to come in this outer for loop. Okay, so the I value will be incremented to 1 for next time, and then again inner for loop will work, and then again outer for loop will work till the value of I will be 2. And when the value of I will be 3, this for loop will be exit, and so there will be no other operation. Okay, so now if I try to run this code, let me just add this over here. So now you can see that we are getting the outcome as 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, but we are not getting this output in a format of this. Okay, in a format of matrix. So to get that, we have to just add the /n over here, and the reason behind it is very simple. If this for loop will work for, let's say, 3 times, and then after that it will just exit, and then a new line will be there, and in that new line I value will be incremented, and then again this new for loop will work and new values are going to print. Okay, so after each iteration, after this each exit, there will be a new line. Okay, so 3 values print होगी, फिर new line आएगी, फिर 3 values print होगी, फिर new line आएगी. ठीक है, तो this /n indicates the new line. Okay, so over here, let me just run this code, and you can see that I'm getting the matrix 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So that is what I want, and I got. Okay, so that is how you can create an array of 2 dimension. You can create an array of 3 dimension as well. You just have to add this over here. Okay, so now let's talk about Python. Let's put our hands back to Python, not on C. So let me just remove this over here, and now inside this Python, what if we want to create a 2-dimensional array? Can you do this in array? So let me just make this over here, and simple. So now if I try to run this code, you can see I'm getting an error, and this error is basically because array in Python doesn't support 2-dimensional arrays. Okay, so the array library is not supporting 2-dimensional array, so we have one more library called as NumPy. Some people call it as NumPy, and that depends on you what you want to call that. Okay, so it's NumPy, and the meaning of NumPy is numerical Python. Okay, so what is numerical Python? So you know about linear algebra, if you know about Fourier series and all. So this all things are going to be included in this library called as NumPy. But we are just going to see that how you can create multi-dimensional arrays or 2-dimensional array in Python with the help of NumPy. Okay, so NumPy is used to create an array of multi-dimension. So how to install NumPy or how to create NumPy? Okay, so you simply have to add the library of NumPy over here, that is NumPy. Okay, so NumPy library you have to add like this, and now if you try to run this code, again an error because you don't need to specify this I over here. Okay, so let me just remove these things from here, and you don't need to specify what kind of a like value it is by writing the type code over here in this way. Okay, so you don't need to do this thing in Python. Okay, in NumPy. Okay, so you just remove this. You can do this, but it's not mandatory. So now if you try to run this code, you can see you are getting 12, 13, 34 and 40, 75 over here. So that's very common. Okay, so now if you want to add like what kind of a data type it is, you can add at the last. Okay, so if you try to run this code, you can see over here you're getting 12, 34 and 75, and then you are getting class int. Okay, so the class type is integer. But one more thing over here is that how you can install NumPy, because in my PC is already installed, so there is no error, but in your PC there will be an error if you have not installed this NumPy. So the way you can install this is very simple. You just have to go to your command prompt. So here you can just say command prompt, and inside the command prompt, I hope that you can see this now. So you just have to say pip3 install Python, install NumPy. Okay, and then okay, it's not working. Let me just do it again. I don't know why it's not working there. I don't know why it's not working, but okay, I will explain you how to install in next video. For now, you can install this on your PyCharm only. So the way you can install this on your PyCharm is that you have to Control Alt and S. So you have to press Control Alt and S. If you don't know what is this, then just remove this from here and just go to, I guess, I don't know where it is. I have to search for that. Okay, so where's settings? Okay, over here. So you have to go to settings, and then you have to, you can see over here the shortcut for setting is Control Alt S. Okay, so you can go to Control Alt S, you can click Control Alt and then S, press Control Alt and S. Okay, together. So now you have this things over here, and inside this thing you have to go to project, and then inside project you have to go to project interpreter. Okay, so in project interpreter you have to go to NUMPY. You can see over here we have NUMPY. So my NUMPY is already installed, but you can install the NUMPY from here, like install package and all. Okay, so I don't want to install, successfully install. Okay, so message like this will come. So now let me just remove this and this as well. So now NUMPY is installed, and you can easily work with NUMPY. You can create a multidimensional array, and we will see that how to create multidimensional array with the NUMPY in our next video. Okay, so I will make you see that how you can install NUMPY in your PC and how to create multidimensional array with the help of NUMPY in Python as well. For this video, this is enough. You can just create the array with the help of NUMPY, and this is how you're gonna call this NUMPY library. You can just say from NUMPY import everything, and then you have to just create a normal array, but you don't have to just put the type code over here like I, J or any other thing. Okay, so you can just simply do like this, and if you want to tell the type code, then at last you can just add int or float as well. So if I try to run this code, it's gonna work and the type is float. Okay, so that is what I want to tell you about this session, and we'll see about other things in next video. So for now, thank you very much for watching this video and have a nice day. Take care.